Master your inner peace. Control your mind, control your life. There is a war happening right now. Not on a battlefield. Not in another country. It is happening inside your mind, every single second of every single day. And most people are losing. They wake up anxious. They go to bed exhausted. They scroll through their phones looking for something, anything, that will make the noise stop. The overthinking. The worry. The feeling that no matter how much they accomplish, something is still missing. You know that feeling, don't you? That restless, hollow ache that sits right in the center of your chest, even when life looks fine on the outside. That is not weakness. That is not failure. That is what happens when no one ever taught you how to master your own mind. But today, that changes. Today, I am going to walk you through the ancient and proven philosophy that allowed some of history's greatest men and women to face war, loss, betrayal, and suffering, and still remain unshakable. I am talking about inner peace. Real inner peace. Not the kind you find in a spa or a motivational quote. The kind that becomes a permanent foundation beneath every single thing you do. Stay with me until the end, because what I am about to share has the power to completely transform the way you experience your life. Part 1. Why your mind is your greatest enemy, and your greatest ally. Let me ask you something honest. When was the last time your mind was truly quiet? Not asleep. Not distracted by a screen. Truly. Still. Quiet. For most people, that moment is almost impossible to remember. And that is by design, not by nature, but by habit. The human mind was built for survival. Thousands of years ago, your ancestors needed a mind that was always scanning, always alert, always preparing for the next threat. That was useful when the threat was a predator in the forest. But you are not in a forest. You are sitting in traffic. You are answering emails. You are lying in bed at midnight replaying a conversation from 3 years ago, and your nervous system is treating it like a lion is standing in your bedroom. This is the trap. Your mind does not know the difference between real danger and imagined danger. It treats your boss's email the same way it treats a physical threat. It floods your body with stress hormones over situations that cannot actually harm you. And the more you feed that pattern, the more you scroll, the more you ruminate, the more you avoid stillness, the louder the noise gets. The Stoic philosophers understood this more than 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man on earth, wrote in his private journal that the greatest battles he ever fought were not on the front lines of war. They were fought inside his own mind, before the sun rose each morning. He wrote that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts. Not your circumstances. Not your income. Not your relationships. Your thoughts. Because here is the truth that most people spend their entire lives running from. You cannot control what happens to you. But you can absolutely control how you respond to it. And that gap, the space between what happens and how you respond, that is where your entire life is built. That is where inner peace lives. Part 2. The Stoic Foundation, what the ancients knew that we forgot. Stoicism is not a religion. It is not a trend. It is not something you practice once a week. It is a way of seeing the world that, once you understand it, you cannot unsee. The Stoics built their entire philosophy around one central idea. Separate what is within your control from what is not, and focus only on what is within your control. That sounds simple. And it is simple. But simple is not the same as easy. Because your mind, by default, does the exact opposite. Your mind obsesses over what other people think of you. Your mind rehearses every possible way things could go wrong. Your mind holds on to grudges, replays failures, and catastrophizes about a future that has not arrived yet. All of that is outside your control. And every second you spend there is a second stolen from your own life. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. And it is the single most important concept I will teach you today. There are 2 categories in your life. Things within your control, your thoughts, your intentions, your effort, your responses, your values, your choices in this moment. Things outside your control, other people's opinions, the economy, your past, the weather, traffic, other people's behavior, the outcome of your efforts. Write that down. Tattoo it on your brain if you have to. Because the moment you stop spending energy on the second category and redirect it entirely to the first, your anxiety begins to dissolve. Not all at once, but steadily, surely, like morning fog burning away in the sun. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was born a slave, understood this better than anyone. He had no freedom, no power, no wealth. By every external measure, his life was a prison. And yet he was one of the most psychologically free human beings who ever lived. Because he knew something his captors did not. No one can imprison your mind without your permission. Your opinion is your own. Your values are your own. Your response to suffering is your own. And no force on earth, no person, no circumstance, no hardship, can take those from you unless you hand them over. That is the Stoic foundation. And now let me show you how to build on it. Part 3: The 5 Pillars of Inner Peace. Inner peace is not something you stumble into. It is something you build, deliberately, daily, one practice at a time. Here are the 5 pillars. Pillar 1: The Morning Fortress. Every morning, before the world gets its hands on you, before the notifications, the news, the demands, the noise, you must claim your mind. This is not optional. This is the foundation of everything. The Stoics called it the morning meditation. Marcus Aurelius practiced it without exception. He would sit before dawn and mentally prepare himself for the day ahead, not by imagining everything going perfectly, but by preparing himself for difficulty. He would ask himself, what challenges might I face today? What weaknesses might be tested? What virtues will I need to call on? This practice is called negative visualization, and it is the opposite of toxic positivity. Toxic positivity says, think happy thoughts and everything will work out. Stoic preparation says, prepare yourself mentally for the worst, so that when difficulty comes, it does not shatter you, it simply confirms that you were ready. Spend 10 minutes every morning in silence. No phone. No music. No distraction. Ask yourself 3 questions. What is within my control today? What virtues do I want to embody today? What am I grateful for, right now, in this moment? That is your morning fortress. Build it every day without exception. Pillar 2: The Pause. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is your power. Most people live without ever accessing that space. Someone says something rude, and they react immediately: anger, defensiveness, anxiety. The emotion fires and the behavior follows without a single moment of conscious choice. The practice of the pause is the practice of reclaiming that space. The next time you feel triggered, angry, anxious, offended, overwhelmed, do not react. Do not suppress. Simply pause. Take one slow, deep breath. Ask yourself, is this within my control? Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? In 5 months? In 5 days? Ask yourself, what response would the best version of me choose right now? That pause, that single breath, is the most powerful tool you have for transforming your emotional life. It is where wisdom lives. It is where peace is built or broken. Practice it today. Practice it every day. It will feel awkward at first. That is normal. You are rewiring years of unconscious reactivity. But with time, with consistent, committed practice, that pause becomes second nature. And your entire life changes. Pillar 3: Radical Acceptance. There is a suffering that comes from what happens to us. And there is a suffering that comes from wishing things were different than they are. The second kind is entirely optional. And it is responsible for the vast majority of human misery. Radical acceptance does not mean you are happy about everything. It does not mean you stop working to change what can be changed. It means you stop fighting reality. When you resist what is, when you rage against the traffic, the diagnosis, the rejection, the loss, you are not changing the situation. You are simply adding your own suffering on top of it. The Stoics had a phrase for this: a more fatty love of fate. Not passive resignation. Not giving up. Active, courageous acceptance, embracing everything that happens as exactly the material you need to grow. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal from people he trusted. He faced the death of his children. He faced plagues that killed millions while he led an empire. And he wrote, not with bitterness but with clarity. The obstacle is the way. Every hardship you have faced, every failure, every loss, every painful chapter, was not an interruption to your growth. It was the mechanism of it. Accept what is. Change what you can. Release what you cannot. That is the path to peace. Pillar 4. Presence. Most human suffering happens in two places, the past and the future. The past that cannot be changed and the future that has not arrived yet. The present moment, right now, this breath, this second, is almost never the source of your pain. And yet it is the only place where your life actually exists. Presence is not about meditation retreats or spiritual enlightenment. It is about training yourself, moment by moment, to return to what is actually happening, not what you remember or what you imagine. Try this practice. Once every hour, set a silent alarm. When it goes off, stop what you are doing for 30 seconds. Look around. Notice 5 things you can see. Notice the temperature of the air. Notice the sound in the room. Notice your own breathing. You are here. Right now. In this moment. That is the only place peace can be found. Not in fixing your past. Not in securing your future. Here. Now. This. Pillar 5. Service beyond self. The final pillar is the one most people overlook, and it may be the most powerful of all. The Stoics believed deeply in their duty to others. Marcus Aurelius did not rule for personal glory. Epictetus did not teach for personal gain. They understood that a life lived only for oneself is a life slowly draining of meaning. Research in modern psychology confirms what the ancients knew intuitively. The fastest path out of your own suffering is to focus on someone else's. Not because your pain is not real, but because contribution creates meaning. And meaning is the antidote to emptiness. Find one way, every single day, to serve someone beyond yourself. It does not have to be grand. It can be a kind word to a stranger. It can be showing up fully for a friend. It can be putting genuine effort into your work because you know it affects people you will never meet. When you orient your life towards something greater than your own comfort, your problems do not disappear, but they shrink. They find their proper proportion. And a quiet, steady sense of purpose begins to fill the space where anxiety used to live. Part 4. What inner peace is not. Before we close, I need to address something important. Because there are a lot of false versions of inner peace being sold today, and I do not want you chasing a mirage. Inner peace is not the absence of emotion. You will still feel anger. You will still feel grief. You will still feel fear. The goal is not to become a stone statue with no feelings. The goal is to feel those emotions without being controlled by them. To let them pass through you like weather, real, sometimes intense, but temporary. Inner peace is not the absence of conflict. You will still disagree with people. You will still face hard decisions. You will still need to draw boundaries, have difficult conversations, and stand for what you believe in. Peace is not passivity. A peaceful person can be fierce when fierceness is called for. Inner peace is not a permanent destination. It is a daily practice. A direction. A commitment you renew each morning. Some days you will feel it completely. Other days you will feel like you have lost it entirely. That is not failure. That is being human. The only failure is stopping the practice. You made it to the end of this video. And I want you to know, that matters. Because most people will not. Most people will click away after 30 seconds, scroll to the next distraction, and wonder why nothing in their life ever changes. But you stayed. Which tells me something about you. It tells me you are serious about this. You are done settling for a life lived in reaction. You are ready to build something different, something stronger, inside yourself. So here is what I want you to do right now. Pick one pillar from today. Just one. The morning fortress. The pause. Radical acceptance. Presence. Service. Pick the one that spoke to you most directly. And commit to practicing it, just that one, for the next 7 days. Not perfectly. Not forever. Just 7 days. And then come back and tell me in the comments what shifted. Because I read every single comment. And your experience matters to me. If this video added something to your life, if it gave you one idea, one tool, one moment of clarity, then do one thing for me. Subscribe to this channel. Because this is what we do here. Every week. We go deep into the philosophy, the science, and the practical tools for mastering your mind and building a life of genuine strength and peace. This community is growing. And the people in it are choosing to take their inner life seriously. That is rare. And it is powerful. And I want you to be part of it. Hit the subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And share this with one person, just one, who you think needs to hear it. Someone who is struggling. Someone who is searching. Someone who deserves to know that peace is not something that happens to you. It is something you build. One thought. One breath. One choice at a time. I will see you in the next one.